just say that I watched probably 30 minutes to an hour of the cross-examination of the guy that was up yesterday, Gage, I believe. And
the guy whose bicep got shot off.
Yes. It was the most entertaining real law thing I'd ever seen.
Well, so for people who don't know, and correct me if you think anything I say is incorrect, but he was the guy who, and this is his version of it now, although not what he said to police. He ran after Kyle, pulled a pistol on him, and then Kyle shot him in the arm. And if Kyle hadn't shot him in the arm, he admits he was going to shoot Kyle, probably to kill, because he thought Kyle had murdered somebody undeservedly so, and he was vigilanteing, basically. And then he
said the word active shooter, yeah.
And then he told the police that Kyle shot him, and he didn't mention that he had a gun.
He neglected to mention that he had a gun, which was a hilarious piece of the court proceedings, where the lawyer, and as you're watching, have you watched it?
No, well, the only thing I watched, spoilers, is at the end, they said the defense attorney says, because the prosecution called this guy, just to be clear, the prosecution called him as their witness. The defense attorney says, so I'll paraphrase here, tell me if this is correct. You walk towards Kyle. You pull your gun on Kyle. You are going to shoot Kyle, at which point Kyle shoots you after you are walking towards him with a gun pointed towards him. Is that correct? And the guy goes, yes, that's correct. And then the camera just cuts to the prosecutor, and they're the guy's just like holding his head, and
so he was doing a lot
basically.
Of that. I don't know if that's so that moment might have been interpreted as an emotion that it wasn't. The guy didn't look happy, one of the prosecutors, but he was often like looking down at his notes. I watched a long time.
I mean, I could be wrong. That the judge said before this, for people who don't know, this trial is not a trial on if he should have been there, if he crossed state lines with a gun. This is not this trial. This trial is when Kyle pulled the trigger in each situation, was he under attack and or did he have the right to think his life was in danger? That was what they were trying to prove or disprove.
100%, yeah.
And then the person, one of the people he shot, said, I was trying to shoot him. Yeah. So that's just it. That's just over for the prosecutor, for that particular person. He shot 3 people. So now the only thing they have is the other 2 people potentially. So I read that as like, yeah, I mean, that's GG's for that third charge.
Well, all the legal experts on Reddit say it is, which is, who knows. But I guess the interesting part as I was watching it is just, you would never do this to someone in conversation, but the methodical backing of people into corners.
Oh, brutal.
It was brutal to watch. So, and you did not mention that you had a gun at that time. No, I was I had just, had the most traumatic experience in my life and just had this. It says here that you knew exactly what Kyle was wearing when you interviewed for this. And it's just like, and there's also what's interesting is, unlike an argument, there's no like slam dunk, like, you're a liar. They just kind of let it hang, which might even be worse.
Well, the other thing is you can perjure yourself if you lie.
So the other thing that he might have made him do, which might not come out, is apparently, and this is what they seem to be setting up for another person to cross-examine, which hasn't yet happened, is his roommate at the time and friend went to visit him in the hospital and then put up a Facebook post. You know this?
Yeah.
Saying like, my one regret is that I basically didn't kill him.
No, he said the person whose bicep got shot off says, my regret is that I didn't beat him to the punch and kill him. That's what his roommate posted on Facebook
with a photo
saying
of him in the hospital.
This is what this guy said.
Yes.
And then on the stand, they asked him, did you say that? And he said no.
No.
And now they're going to call his roommate
the other guy up.
And either the roommate's going to have to say, I made that up, which maybe he'll lie.
This is almost definitely what he'll do.
Cover his friend.
Because there's no way to prove it.
Right.
So either you perjure yourself, but nobody finds out, or you admit that your friend perjured himself.
And he has to then potentially face charges.
Or you made it up, which is possible. You might have just been a cool guy at that moment and made something up for social media. It wouldn't be the first time. But no, it was, we don't need to spend too much time on it. It was absolutely mind-bending to watch this guy who looked like he had never expected any of these questions, never prepared, had no sort of cohesive answer for why the story was changing.
Well, he, I think, did not have a carry permit for his pistol. So if he told the cops that he had a pistol, he did something illegal.
He just had so much time in between the event and today to make sense of it, and for them to go, okay, so what are you going to say when they ask you why you didn't say this? I'm going to say that I was on drugs. Okay, what are you going to say about this?
Well, the problem
what are you going to say if they ask you if you plan to? Yes.
So the most interesting thing to me about this is when I first saw the Kyle Rittenhouse case, I went and watched all the videos that were out there. So this isn't crazy news to me. Like, I watched the guy pull a gun on him before Kyle shot him. But what's interesting is, like, where you get your media determines how you feel about the event. So for a lot of people, this has been out there since the incident, but this is the first time that they have allowed themselves to consume that information. So you've watched a lot of people change their opinion about the event. Mm-hmm. But it was always out there. The footage was out there to watch this guy pull a pistol before Kyle shoots him. And it just wasn't covered by certain news stations. So people are thinking this is coming out now, but it's been available the whole time.
Yeah, that's probably the most interesting comment on the entire situation, which is almost asinine to say, but how quickly people had strong opinions about it, how different the evidence that was referenced was. So, like, on one side, I've heard so much about he crossed state lines, he had a gun, he shouldn't have been there, XYZ. And there's just two sides talking past each other in terms of was he in a bad position that maybe he shouldn't have been in? Perhaps did he act in self-defense? Like, a lot of the online screaming seemed to just whoosh.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I was thinking about that's interesting is how guns skew what you can do in self-defense, basically. Mm-hmm. So one of the other victims, I'll say, was hitting him with a skateboard. And then Kyle shot him, and the person died. And that is self-defense. The person was attacking Kyle with a weapon. But also, it's pretty unlikely, I think, that you would die from someone hitting you with a skateboard. So there is an escalation of violence that guns, there's no hitting someone softly with a gun. Like, you can punch someone to a varying degree of, I can punch you and not knock you out. I can punch you and knock you out. Mm-hmm. I can punch you in the stomach, and you definitely won't have any issues.
So it's very unclear. I will take the other side of, like, okay, so you hit someone in the head with a skateboard once. Will they survive? Probably. Might they have serious issues? Maybe. They'll probably survive. Would he have stopped? Would the crowd have jumped on?
Oh, sorry. This is just my general thought with owning a gun, which I'm not opposed to at all, is when someone breaks into your house mm-hmm. and you go to, and let's say that person does not have a gun, but you have a gun. Like, they might have just ran off, or maybe you guys would have gotten a fist fight, or maybe they would have gotten a knife and killed you. You know, it's not hard to kill someone without having a gun. But when you do have a gun, your only option is to shoot this person. So you're going to just horribly injure them or kill them. Mm-hmm. Guns just take everything to an 11 immediately. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Same thing with road rage. Two people in cars screaming at each other, and then they pull over, and the one just shoots the other one. It's like, yeah, it goes from screaming to you get shot with a gun. They just take everything to an 11, basically, mm-hmm. if they're fired.
Yeah. No, I mean, this is, I guess, why, like, middle school violence is not so bad, because, like, you can both go as hard as you want, give each other bloody noses. Everybody's and 99 out of 100 times is totally fine. I don't know if that's right, wrong, but I understand what you're saying. Is that it?
Well, I think he's going to walk completely, because the other charge, the person was trying to take his gun away, and in a lot of states, that is basically the same as having a gun, because the thought is if you don't defend yourself, the person will then just shoot you with the gun. Mm-hmm. So if someone tries to disarm you, you basically have a green light to shoot them in self-defense. Yeah. So I think he's going to walk. My question is, has this trial been public enough that won't result in riots, or do you think there will be riots?
I don't think there'll be riots. Joe Biden's president. I haven't heard of any cops killing black people. I guarantee you it's happened at the same exact rate that it was happening when Donald Trump was president and was up for re-election. Like, these are the diet of outrage that gets fed is very, very curated.
Well, we talked about this. It is weirdly, like,
every 4 years.
Police shooting black people and the BLM coverage on the news, it correlates very aggressively with presidential elections.
Yeah. So, I mean, and it's what's interesting beyond all of this is just all of the names, the Jacob Blakes and there was a dozen others. Just haven't heard any. Mm-hmm. And I know that there's egregious examples in a country of 330 million people.
Oh, now, in the last 12 months?
Yeah.
Since Biden was elected?
Yeah.
100%.
And I think that says more about the conversation than anything, which is...
Yeah, there's been a Breonna Taylor in the last 12 months.
There's been some, whatever. There's been something that people would have gotten upset about in that time frame were it publicized. And it, I think, goes to show you that if you're having a conversation and you have a side or another side, a powerful question to ask is like, who decided we were having this conversation?
Yeah.
Who and what are their interests? Because that will, I think, take you to deeper levels of insight than, is it right or wrong? Should Kyle Rittenhouse walk? Should this officer or that officer or this person? So that's my take.
Yeah.
Hope that you guys enjoyed that clip. If you want to see more like this and have us do more podcasts, we are 100% funded by our generous patrons. And if you'd like to contribute, there's a link in the description, and we'll have one pop up on the screen right here so that we can do more podcasts where we have fun conversations and hopefully some deep ones like this. Either way, hope that you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one.